One of the things that I learned after I moved to the Abbey was NVC, or nonviolent communication. And I found this has been tremendously helpful for my Buddhist practice. And NVC was started in the 1960s by the psychologist Marshall Rosenberg. And according to the NVC website, it's a method for expressing ourselves with clarity, self-responsibility, empathy, and the common good. It involves bringing awareness to our thoughts, patterns, and behaviors in order to determine which feelings and needs are present within us at any given time. And in this way, I think NVC has a really large overlap with Buddhist practice, in which we take responsibility for the states of our mind by choosing to increase our awareness of what's going on, and then training in more beneficial and realistic ways of thinking. So NVC has developed an extensive list of feelings and needs that all human beings experience. They call it the universal needs. And I found this list extremely helpful in my self-discovery process. And even if I haven't always communicated those needs and feelings to others. So identifying my feelings and needs have helped me to stay connected and visible to myself. They've helped me uncover unconscious or hidden motives. And they've also helped me to see myself as just a regular human being. And that's been very helpful. And as a byproduct, I'm also better able to guess what's going on in other people and to then relate to them as another fellow human being. And using MVC has also helped me to realize that I initially approached my Buddhist practice in an unrealistic and uncompassionate way. I came to Buddhism with the idea that many of my needs were wrong and bad because they were always going to be driven by a worldly concern or an affliction. And so when a need would come up, I'd get angry at myself for having one. And then this was also because my ideal of the perfect spiritual practitioner was an ascetic who had absolutely no desire and was completely independent of the world for any kind of happiness. So needless to say, getting angry at myself didn't help those needs go away, and it actually only made my relationship to them more confusing and painful. So when the community took classes with a MVC trainer who's based in Portland, Oregon, I was really relieved to hear her say that these needs are actually neutral. They're neither positive nor negative within themselves. And the universal needs that are identified, like love, compassion, belonging, expression, they definitely can have a virtuous motivation set behind them. And this gave me the space to accept that I had needs, and also to get rid of the worry that in trying to meet these needs, I wouldn't necessarily be creating negative karma. So I've also concluded that the motivation behind these needs is what is most important, as well as the strategies that we use to go about fulfilling them and making sure that those strategies are ethical and also informed by wisdom as to what really is true happiness. So for this BBC, I thought I'd talk about some of the main needs that I've struggled to meet skillfully and effectively throughout my life. And only recently have I been able to use some of the Buddhist techniques and practices to begin to meet those needs. So the first one that I've looked at is love. And I think many of us get the message growing up that love is a commodity that we can only get from other people, and that we know that we're loved if other people flatter us or praise us, give us attention, and also physical affection. And if you've grown up in a family or household where these things were in short supply, you might have gotten the conclusion that people don't love you, and therefore you're not worthy of love. And this is clearly a faulty assumption, but I think it's one that a lot of kids and even adults still hang on to. But in Buddhism and other spiritual traditions, we learn that love is something that we can only generate within our own hearts and minds. In Buddhism, it's a mental factor. And also that without offering love first to other people, it's very unlikely that we're going to get much in return. So instead of chasing after praise and affection to get that love that I still do need in order to have a happy state of mind, as a monastic, I now rely on practices such as a loving kindness meditation, where I'm able to generate love for both myself and others, and it's a very tangible, immediate way. And also viewing others through the eyes of universal compassion, like doing the deity practices where you imagine yourself as an enlightened being and how you would look upon the world and yourself if you really had that all-pervading, compassionate mind. And yeah, I think this is a legitimate need that most people need to thrive and to reach their full potential. So two other needs that have caused me a lot of confusion and pain because I haven't known really how to meet them skillfully are acceptance and belonging. And again, I grew up with this distorted assumption that I'm not a worthy human being unless I have a good reputation, unless I'm popular, I have likes on Facebook, and I need to receive praise on a regular basis, just one time every so often. That's really not enough. So, you really start to doubt, am I a good person because I'm not getting praised? And then coming to be a Buddhist, I saw this need for praise and reputation. I said, oh my gosh, it's terrible. I have terrible motivations. But through NVC, I was able to see what was driving these desires for praise and reputation. And it was actually acceptance and belonging. And that need is neutral within itself. So now I feel comfortable trying to meet this need. And the ways that I'm doing it are by reflecting on interconnectedness, interdependence, the Buddhist teachings on dependent arising, and also the kindness of others and how without being protected and cared for since I was a baby, I would not be alive today. So those thoughts really drive home the fact that I do belong, I am connected to other people. And I've also worked on generating acceptance for myself, which is hugely helpful, actually. I think that's where really a lot of the work has happened, and also self-compassion, doing purification, and stopping to identify with the afflictions. Not saying that's me, but trying to be more objective and then to let them go. And that way I don't really have to rely on other people to tell me I'm a good person, to validate my goodness, my potential. So then the last set of universal needs I want to mention are autonomy, agency, independence, and freedom. And these get challenged quite a bit living at a monastery. Because the schedule is set and there are certain guidelines which are there for the very good reason of maintaining harmony in the community. So there's nothing wrong with wanting to preserve the ability to make good decisions that will lead to our own and others' benefit. But if you find yourself wanting freedom and autonomy to get the best piece of cake or the most sensual pleasure or the most, praise, these are probably praise in the sense of, something that really isn't meaningful, like, oh, you did such a good job vacuuming or something like that. Then that's really not such a worthy cause to be fighting for. So we really do have to look at what are we wanting freedom and autonomy for. And sometimes we do have to give up a little bit of our freedom and autonomy in order to meet other needs, such as the need for spiritual growth or the need for collaboration and harmony with other people. But in these instances, if we find ourselves getting a little bit antsy about that, we can always remember that we always have full control over how we respond to whatever's going on within our own mind and to the situation around us. And that kind of mental freedom is something that nobody can take away from us, no matter what they try to do. And we're always in charge of our own life, so to speak. So there are quite a few more needs that I've been working through, but I thought I would save that for later BBC, and hopefully some of this has been helpful.